On this episode of Bite Size, we are watching and discussing the 63rd scene of the movie Twilight. For those of you watching along at home, that's from 1:42:00 to 1:42:35. And be sure to go to twilightpodcast.com/live. And now, on to the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Bite Size. If this is your first episode, here's what's going on. I'm sleepy because we're recording this a lot later than I normally record. My name's Ben. I'm your host. I may have said that already. I'm watching the movie Twilight one scene at a time with a different guest every week. I send someone about 30 seconds to 3 minutes of the movie Twilight, and then we talk about it for a little bit. And this one's definitely on the 30-second side of things. Speaking of guests, joining me today, I've got an actor, writer, director, not of Twilight. I assume you've directed other things. Chris Jowett, welcome to Bite Size.
Hey, Ben. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, how's it going? How you doing? Are you sleepier than me?
No, I'm coming right off of a shift, which is why we're starting a little late.
Yes.
We were at our job that we share, and I just ended up getting a little last minute called in. So
you just spent the last several hours entertaining people.
I did. I just spent the last 4-ish hours up in front of people, running around playing games and stuff. So now I'm
Thank God one of us has performing energy right now.
I know.
I'm
biking energy and biking here. So
yes.
I'm just like, ooh, ready to go.
I'm curious to see if we will head in opposite directions over the course of this recording as I start to pick up and find my performing energy and you get tired as your sort of adrenaline starts to wear off. But let's find out what happens together as we go through this episode. I'm going to start the interview the way I start every interview on the show. That is by asking you, Chris, what is your history with the Twilight franchise?
So the Twilight movies and books, I guess, came out when I was the exact target age for it.
Okay.
I was not into it.
Right.
I was not someone who read it. I thought the movies were ridiculous. I actually, even at I must have been, like middle school, high school age when this was all going down.
Sure.
Even at that young of an age, I was like, they're just ripping off Harry Potter. I don't want to, come on.
Interesting. In what way?
Well, literally the two film breakup of the last book thing, like that. And then I think they were just riding the coattails of the popularity of Harry Potter, being a young adult kind of fantasy novel.
Yeah, like a YA fiction craze.
Yeah, and it was one of the first ones that I clocked that I felt like it was a direct, like, this is we're trying to do Harry Potter, but something else.
I was
like, okay.
Yeah, and this was like kind of the first one that worked.
I did see one of the films in theater.
Okay.
In theaters. It was Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Great place to drop in.
Yep.
Definitely number 4 of 5, which is not even a full story. It's half of the last book.
Yeah.
Really good entry point for a new viewer.
Yep, I had friends at the time.
This is sort of like how the only Fast and the Furious movie I've seen is the 7th one.
Oh, yeah.
That's a little easier, though, because all of those movies, I have not seen all of them. I've only seen the one. I assume they're all the exact same thing, which is story is not important. Let's just watch Vin Diesel do some crazy stuff with cars.
Absolutely. The Breaking Dawn Part 1, I saw it in theaters. My friends kind of dragged me to it. I was very begrudging about it, and I was a little shithead about it the entire time.
Yeah.
I just sat in the theater and just kind of like scowled at the screen and was like, I don't want to watch this. And then like, and I think a part of me was like, maybe something will hook me into this. But I was so dedicated to not liking it.
Okay.
That it never happened.
Sure.
And then truly nothing came out at me. Like, if anything, watching that whole movie in theaters was just reinforced my disdain for the whole thing.
Yeah, well, if you go into a movie like that, like, I'm not going to like this thing, then you're sort of setting yourself up for sitting there, I don't know, bored for a long time.
I straight up disappeared into my shirt and texted under my shirt.
So that was Twilight when you were younger. Have you encountered Twilight at all as an adult? Perhaps with friends or a partner, as with so many people in your situation.
Yeah. I have yet to sit down and really watch them, but I will say as an adult, I'm a lot more open to sitting down and like watching through them, especially because time has gone on. That it has taken its place in cinema history and in young adult novel history, and like, it's sort of a beautiful relic of our childhood in a way now. So I'm like, okay, it's like this in High School Musical. I keep comparing Twilight to other stuff, but like those are in the same world for me. Like, I hated High School Musical, but also just never watched it. So everybody talks about how great it is, and the people who talk about how great it is they understand its campiness, and they like it for all of its flaws as well. You know, and I think that it opens it up for me a little bit more.
I really think there's something to like, because I'm assuming we're around the same age when Twilight came out.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming are still around the same age now, because that's how aging works.
True.
But I think there is something, my sort of working theory with this that I haven't really said on the show is like, around the time you and I found Twilight, everything before that, the entire like toy and child entertainment industry was so like siloed and perfectly targeted to certain demographics, whether you are a boy or this is a boy's movie, this is a girl's toy, this is for children of this specific age. And so for a lot of specifically young men around our age, Twilight was one of the first things we encountered that was not for our demographic.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's why you get that like almost offense at this, because you're like, I'm supposed to like this. No, you're not. It's just for other people, and you happen to be exposed to it more often than you have been exposed to other things that are not for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It was definitely like, I think Twilight becoming popular and becoming a big film franchise was around the same time that like tween and early teen boys are just like hitting each other in the nuts a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the kind of masculinity we're in, which is where we're just kind of like violently exploring one another.
And you've spent your entire life essentially going like a microcosm of your entire life is going to McDonald's and getting a Happy Meal and having to specify the boy's toy.
Yep.
And so now there's this huge cultural phenomenon that is not a boy's toy.
Yeah.
And you cannot fathom why anyone would be interested in this thing that is not targeted directly at you.
Yeah, exactly. And in the years since I'm almost 30 and like we're like that stuff is broken down.
You're a well-adjusted human.
Yes, exactly.
Some people never grow out of that.
No,
phase.
we're literally,
and we call them Star Wars fans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Star Wars fans.
But now you're a normal adult who can see like, it was never for me, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And now it was like, it just wasn't for me at the time, and now I'm more open to kind of just checking it out and being like, what is the hubbub about?
Yeah. Let's get into the scene we're talking about today. You got excited when I sort of briefly described this scene to you, and I'll briefly describe it to the listeners. Now, it's Bella's laying on the ground, hallucinating as she has a near-death experience. And it gets real weird for a Twilight movie for a little bit there. And that's basically the whole scene. And now let's get into the details of it.
Oh, thank God.
You were super excited when I described this scene to you.
Yeah, you described it to me and I was like, awesome. And then
I had a feeling that would be your reation.
Yeah. And then, because then you sent it to me and I watched it and I immediately just was so looking forward to this.
Yeah, because it's 35 seconds.
Wow.
And there's a lot in that 35 seconds, both literally in terms, it's like a very fast cut montage.
You could put this up at MoMA.
Yeah, you really could.
And just play it on a loop.
It turns into an art film for a little bit. Before we get too far into the things that she is hallucinating, all this is underscored by a song that I cannot understand.
Well, here's what I wrote down. Chris Daughtry music video, question mark?
It is, yeah, like if Chris Daughtry tried to record a song after just having some dental work done and still had like some gauze, because the enunciation of this singer, I tried to look it up. I didn't try too hard.
It's some like
could not understand the lyrics.
It's some like C tier Nathaniel Rateliff stuff.
Yeah.
It's some real butt rock.
All I see spoke with a voice that disrupted the sky. She said, walk all over, yeah, it's a bitter shade. I will wrap you in my arms.
Hey everybody, Editor Ben here. In the time since this episode has been recorded, we've actually figured out what's going on with this song, and it's something that a lot of fans probably already knew, because the person singing this song is Robert Pattinson. It's a song he wrote and recorded years before being cast in Twilight, and it's one of two songs that apparently ended up on the Twilight soundtrack. The song is called Let Me Sign, and in an interview with MTV, Pattinson said this.
I think Catherine put it into a cut, and I didn't even realize what it was at first. It kind of fit really well. I didn't really think about it, other than I didn't know I was going to be on the soundtrack. I wanted to do it under another name because I thought it would be distracting, which it has been. It was probably all a big mistake. But I like the idea. I think the song fits there. I didn't think it sounded like me, so I thought it would just kind of work. I'm not trying to get a music career out of it or anything.
Here are the actual lyrics. Standing there by the broken tree, her hands were all twisted. She was pointing at me. I was damned by the light coming out of her eyes. She spoke with a voice that disrupted the sky. She said, walk on over, yeah, to the bit of shade. I will wrap you in my arms, and you'll know you've been saved. Let me sign. Let me sign. When I listened through the song, I definitely picked up on in my arms, but I think literally every other word gun to my head, I'd have never figured it out. Okay, back to the episode.
It's incredibly
Like
soulful.
instrumental, very soulful.
Yeah, there's not a ton of diction.
No, which is why I think that the scene allows itself to have a little bit of dialogue.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I'm not getting anything out of these lyrics.
Right.
But then Bella can chime in and say some stuff,
And we will.
which is,
Death is peaceful,
Let me sign.
easy.
Let me sign.
Life is harder.
basically Hamilton.
basically Hamilton.
Basically, Lin-Manuel Miranda kind of ripped this scene off.
Yeah, this was the inspiration for Hamilton.
It was. I was watching this and I was writing down, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Dying is easy, living is harder is said at least 2 or 3 times in Hamilton.
Death is peaceful, easy. Life is harder.
And let's be real, if
Man.
Bella was in high school about 10 years later, she would be super into Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really into Hamilton and would like buy $10 lottery tickets every day and never get it.
She hallucinates a lot of things.
Yeah.
More or less in this rough order, she sees herself and she sees Edward and she sees a deer and she sees a bloody mouth and then some trees and then herself again and then some more trees and then moments Edward that we saw in the movie and moments with Edward we did not see in the movie, like them in the snow. I don't remember seeing that. And her as a child, which we saw in sort of a home video in the last couple scenes. So it's really just a lot jam-packed into this scene.
Yeah, quite a bit. And not just her as a child. She's like squatting.
Yeah.
And this, I cannot stress enough, fully out of context for me. I have 0% context.
This whole scene is sort of a microcosm. It is sort of a 35-second wrap-up of basically the whole movie.
Yeah, I feel like I fully understand Bella Swan now.
You've basically seen the entire movie. Like literally
Like, that's
that
it.
that deer running through the forest is how the movie starts.
Yeah, fun fact, same deer that's in Get Out. Yeah, there's a lot of, just in this little scene alone, there's a ton of visual choices.
There really is. Catherine Hardwicke, the director who made this, loves her visual choices. For one, I have to bring this guy out. The entire movie is color graded in a weird way, so everything looks like super blue.
Yeah.
To sort of give it that rainy Pacific Northwest feeling. And I ring a bell when we bring it up because it happens so often.
Yeah, I wrote down Martin Scorsese perfume commercial.
That's basically, and Catherine Hardwicke, and we're going to see this again in the next movie with director Chris Weitz, who, fingers crossed, will be on the show at some point to talk about that movie.
Sweet.
I have had no conversations with him, but I'm just putting that out into the universe.
Yeah, from one Chris to another.
It could happen.
Get on here.
But yeah, Catherine Hardwicke, and again, we see again in the next movie, does a lot. Like a surprise, is given a surprising amount of freedom for a major studio, major franchise.
Yeah, I don't know if we'd see a weird little scene like this in a big movie now.
No,
necessarily. I feel like, and that's another thing about going back to these movies and looking at them almost 20 years later, is it's like we're gonna see stuff that we're like, wow, we maybe took this for granted.
Yeah, definitely. And like you see that just even with the Twilight movies, because the movie that you saw, like as the movies go on, the directors, I feel like, make less and less of these kind of choices. And I don't think that's not because the directors especially, but because this movie was just one movie and who knows where it was going to go. By the time you get to movie 4 and 5, it's like $1 billion franchise.
Yeah.
And the studio is clamping down on those sort of weird choices, like making the entire movie saturated blue.
Yeah. This kind of like IP driven stuff that gets made today, the directors, I feel like, don't often get the opportunity to kind of like make weird choices. Like we're going to color this whole movie blue, or we're going to do this weird dream sequence in the middle where like a bunch of stuff's going to it's going to be kind of trippy and sort of symbolic and not
and when they do
fully straightforward,
it like makes headlines. Like
Yeah.
they're giving Taika Waititi an MCU movie. Like that was a big deal. Yeah.
or like I just saw Thunderbolts and I was like, oh cool, they let this director kind of like make some distinct choices,
Right.
That kind of differentiates it from what they're doing. Something else I typed up about this scene in particular. I do want to like, it does remind me in the best way of music videos from the 2000s.
Oh yeah, it definitely does.
And honestly, when music video directors make movies, I love it.
Yeah.
And is this director a music video director doing now?
I'm not sure. I know her biggest movie before this was a documentary.
Okay.
It was a skateboarding documentary. I think she did Lords of Dogtown.
Oh, those are like, so same kind of ballpark too. Like, you know, Spike Jonze, same thing, sort of like skate video guy, music videos. So like that.
Just to clarify, Lords of Dogtown, not a documentary. I always get that confused with a different movie.
Music video directors tend to make interesting directors because they do stuff like what's happening in this scene. You know,
Dogtown and Z-Boys is the movie that I was thinking of, which is a skateboarding movie that has the Dogtown in the title. Anyway.
Okay. Any music video credits on that IMDb?
Let's take a look on her Wikipedia page. Okay, she did one music video in 1987.
Whoa.
For the New Monkeys.
And then nothing until Twilight.
And then nothing until 2015, when she did one for the All American Rejects and one for Lady Gaga.
Oh,
that was well after. Like
this,
she directed this Twilight movie in 2008, and then none of the future movies.
Yeah.
So I guess that was not as big a deal for her.
Well, this scene in particular just kind of like I said, Chris Daughtry music video kind of jokingly, but like more accurately, the Green Day Wake Me Up When September Ends music video comes to mind. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I probably have not recently.
So it's a music video that is similar like to this, where it is the song and it's a lot of imagery that's sort of like, you know, playing with the tones and the themes in the song, but then it also, there is dialogue and there is scene work.
Yeah.
In the Wake Me Up When September Ends video. And the song Wake Me Up When September Ends is maybe like 5 minutes. The video is like 8 minutes because there are 2 minute long scenes, like chunks of scenes with dialogue in them.
Yeah.
And it was giving that energy. I was kind of delighted by that because I was a big music video fan growing up. I loved music videos.
This definitely feels like a portion of the movie that they were like, okay, we're going to take a song from the soundtrack and make a music video that's just clips from the movie.
Yeah.
Something that was also really big around this time, such as the famously Smash Mouth's All-Star music video is just clips from the movie Mystery Men.
And that song, I mean, it could have been that you could pick any. There's so many movies from the 2000s with that song.
No, and that song is now like forever etched in sort of the cultural constellations. Yeah. That is a Shrek song, despite the fact that it was originally a Mystery Men song.
Yeah. And also the amount of movies you watch that were made from, I want to say 1998 to 2003, where they have a pivotal song in the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Is bananas. They either are like the featured song of the movie or they are straight up in the movie. It happens a lot. This scene.
Yes.
Yeah. The couple images that stand out, having watched it a couple times now, that like are the deer.
Mm-hmm.
The moment when Edward shoves Bella up against a wall.
Yeah.
Which reads as like clearly violent, but also like, I mean, there's a sexual undertone the entire series, but like,
to be clear, that's not a wall, that's a cliff. They're out in a forest, and that is something that happens earlier in the movie. They have a big long conversation. That's her confronting him with the fact that she's figured out he's a vampire, and they have this weird conversation about how basically I could kill you right now, and it's all but it's also kind of romantic.
I could kill you right now. I could also kiss you.
Yeah, basically. That's it.
That's
you got it.
Whole series.
You
right?
sure you've never seen Twilight?
Are you also watching it for the first time, scene by scene?
Oh no, I've
seen them all.
I mean, I'm watching it scene by scene for the first time, but I have seen these all previously.
Okay.
Yes.
This sequence, is it? You've said that there's parts of it that are things we've already seen.
Yeah.
And then there are parts of it. Are there parts of it that only exist within this sequence?
Definitely. Like I said, there is this. The one that stands out most to me is this one of them laying in the snow. And I just noticed they're laying in the snow and she's like wearing a light cardigan. So she's for sure going to freeze to death out there.
Yeah.
Because in Twilight lore, he's a vampire, which means he does not have a normal human body temperature. He's cold like a dead body.
Right.
So she's out there getting hypothermia. That's
Yeah.
only seen
She
in
looks
this.
practically dead in that shot.
She does. Very pale, but again, that's the blue filter for you. The entire movie is like this blue. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like one of the big ones that I feel like we never see another scene in the movie that is this snowing this hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that shot feels very Eternal Sunshine-y.
It does, yeah.
Which, you know, I think the other thing, was like the kid version of herself, which you said is from a home video.
Oh, yeah. Just a couple scenes ago, she's lured into this dance studio by a vampire who's trying to kill her.
Yeah.
That I should say, interspersed with her hallucinations, any of the fire stuff that you see is other vampires. Like there are things actually happening that she is experiencing, like the other vampires killing James, the bad vampire, and setting his body on fire. And they're in the middle of a dance studio right now, and they are causing major property damage. They are essentially burning a building down. They don't have fire extinguishers or hoses, so they are for sure going to destroy this entire building, and someone's going to have to pay for that.
Wow.
We also see Edward like biting her wrist.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, oh, that's a clear bite. That's a bite right
It's
there.
a suck, actually.
Oh, it's a suck.
Because in Twilight, vampires, if you want to can turn someone into a vampire with venom, which is something that comes out of their mouths when they bite someone. And so Edward is having to suck all the venom out of Bella.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's very fast. I feel like it could be a suck, it could be a bite, but
It does look like a bite.
but no,
yeah.
but it's because you're saying that is a clip from something that has happened already.
That is,
and we know that it is a suck.
well, and that is not something that has happened before in the movie, but it is something that is happening in real life. That's not a hallucination. That is something that is
that's
actually
something that's-
happening to her.
Oh, so that's
in the
happening in
canon.
this too. You're
Yes.
seeing glimpses of things that are in reality as well.
Yes.
Currently.
All that stuff with the fire, despite the fact that it seems like the most hallucinatory part, is actually the one thing that's really happening to her.
Oh, I assumed
Yeah.
that it was truly like all of this was in sort of a comatose state dream. I mean, it is.
No, most
kind
of it
right,
is.
but-
Yeah, she's sort of fading in and out of consciousness. But all the stuff with the
fascinating.
fire is Edward's vampire siblings setting a bad vampire on fire so he can't come back and eat Bella.
Wow.
Crazy.
Really crazy.
So Twilight, a lot more than you bargained for.
I know. Well, this, like
hey,
I said,
young Chris, get out of your shirt.
poke out of your shirt, you little turtle.
Yeah, you
Watch
may
this
actually
movie.
see something cool, like a vampire getting set on fire by other vampires.
I mean, I do remember that movie and the whole like birth scene near the end,
man.
and just being like, whoa.
We are coming up. It's several years from now, but we're eventually going to get to that scene
We're coming up on that scene. It'll be in 2027, late
where
2027.
Edward has to do a C-section on his pregnant wife Bella using his mouth and essentially biting her open to get the baby out. We're going to come on that eventually. That is insane that is in these young adult movies.
He's like a vampire, more like a V section.
Hey, C-section stands for Cullen.
Siri just turned on. Shut up! I'm not talking to you.
You know
I
one
said
like that.
V section, Siri.
One of my last notes here. This is Bella, having a near-death experience. These are the things that she's seeing. She's seeing her boyfriend, I guess, and she's seeing a deer. What do you think you'll see before you die while your vampire boyfriend sucks the venom out of you and his siblings set another vampire on fire?
I think I'll see.
If and when that inevitably happens to you.
I think I'll see the time that I was accidentally left alone at Disney World in a crowd.
Did that happen?
Yes.
Oh, no. I'm so
right
sorry.
after seeing A Bug's Life and getting very traumatized by
Okay.
the Bug's Life show. Remember, did you ever get to see that?
No.
It just recently shut down and people were mourning it, but I think people were also like, good. The origin of my absolute nightmares is no longer existing. It was a live show based on the Bug's Life films, and it was 4D kind of thing. And like
I have no memory of that.
Oh man.
Not
Look
only
it
do
up
I have
if you
no
can.
memory of seeing it, but in the few times that I've been to Disney World, I have no memory of that being an option of something to go do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess
then-
that's why it shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they were replacing it with the. I think they're replacing it with the Buzz Lightyear. No,
Oh,
no,
hell
no,
yeah.
no,
Oh.
not that. I'm sorry. They're replacing it with the. I think the Monsters Inc. ride,
Okay.
which sounds great. But I'll see that. I'll see. I'm just going through like silly traumas. I'll see the time that I like dumped nacho cheese in my lap before seeing Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D with my nana.
No.
Went to that movie with my Nana, and no one else was in the theater. And literally, as the movie was starting, I dumped hot nacho cheese in my lap.
The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D, of course, featuring Twilight's own Taylor Lautner.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah. A movie we will, I guess I haven't teased this on the show, so I can bring it up now, is that I'm in the process of starting a Patreon for the show. And our bonus Patreon series is going to be, I'm calling it Bite Size Presents, and it's going to be me and a couple other people talking about all the movies that the Twilight actors were in before they were in Twilight.
Oh,
so eventually
nice.
we will talk about The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D.
You also talk about Cheaper by the Dozen too.
Is that before Twilight? I think that's during Twilight.
No, Taylor's a little kid, and
We will talk about the Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas, though.
who's in that?
Kristen Stewart's film debut.
I had no idea.
We are going to get into some crazy movies that I've never heard of before, and we're not going to talk about the Harry Potter movie that Robert Pattinson was in, because there's enough podcasts about Harry Potter movies.
Well, and then Zathura was after Twilight.
Zathura was before Twilight.
It was?
Yes.
Ooh, okay, Zathura, fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Dax Shepard.
Well then, since we're here at the end of our notes, I'm going to ask you the last question of the interview portion of the show. This is sort of the first moment that I was warning you about, what I'll sort of put you on the spot. If you had to give this scene a name, what would it be? This is also going to be the name of the episode, so please make it good.
A name?
A name for the scene.
A name for
It
the
will also be the name for the episode.
Great.
So please make it good.
I will.
Thank you.
Wake Me Up When Bella Ends by
Wake
Green Day.
Me Up When Bella Ends by Green Day. There it is.
Nice.
Listener, you already knew that was the title because you saw it in your podcast app, but I just had to type out all those words for the first time. Chris Jowett, if people like the sound of your voice and want to hear or see you do other things, maybe see you in a show that you beat me out for because I'm still bitter about that one Titanic show.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure we were going for the same role.
We were, yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
And now you're going to, actually, you're never leaving this apartment again.
Good.
I've been mad about that for 3 years. I have not, to be clear. If people want to follow you on social media, where can they do that kind of thing?
If it helps, my voice was shot the entire run. I
was there ready to understudy.
You can follow me on Instagram at Chris Jowett AWD, which does not stand for all-wheel drive. It stands for actor, writer, director.
Okay.
And then I also am a co-founder of a small sort of independent comedy film company called Bathos Films. You could follow us on Instagram at Bathos, Bathos Films. And also check out our website where we have a feature film and 3 short films. I think 3 short films up right now.
Okay.
And they're on Vimeo as well, so they're just up, ready to be watched by anybody. We put a lot of love into them, so we're happy to do that. We're making more stuff, so be on the lookout for stuff that we're going to be putting out. But yeah, Bathos Films, and then Chris Jowett AWD.
There you go. If you want to follow the show on social media, you can do so at bitesizedpod_ on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, or just bitesizedpod, no underscore, on Tumblr. You can also send an email to the show by sending an email to myfavorititwilightpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to reach out to the show, interact with it in any way, one of those places, the social medias or the emails, are a great place to do that, such as Spotify user Max, who has their name in all caps, so I had to yell it, who said, y'all didn't, this is in reference to a previous episode with one of our coworkers, y'all didn't even mention the song in the background of the restaurant where Bella eats the ravioli is a song in the soundtrack sung by one Robert Pattinson. And that is his voice. Max, I had no idea. I did not know that. Thank you for pointing that out to me. This is what I talk about when I say I like it when I talk to people who knew more about Twilight than me, because there's always infinitely more to learn about this show. July 6th at the Newport Theater at 6 p.m. You can see the very first Twilight live show, comedy show / podcast recording. Myself, my editor, Ben Oxshire, and my one of my favorite guests, Sarah Murphy, will do some comedy for you that won't be recorded. Then we'll record an episode that will be recorded. You can come on out and see that. All that information should be available at twilightpodcast.com/live, because I'm going to update it and put it there either tonight or tomorrow as we record this. All that information and more available at twilightpodcast.com. Thank you to my editor, Ben Oxshire, for putting this all together. Thank you to the band's swimwear department for letting use their song Mauled to Death as our theme. And that is it. That is all we have for today's episode of Bite Sized. As we always say at the end of every episode...
Life is hard. Life is good. Life is good. Death is peaceful. Easy. Life is harder.
That's what we say, exactly that word for word every time. See you next time.
Say we walk all over, yeah, it's a bittersweet. I'll wrap you in my arms, and let me sign.